What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and we have an interesting topic for Crash today. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time is on the way and it looks fantastic. It's a brand new game, not a remake, not a remaster. It seems like Crash is finally onto new things. However, there are still people asking for one certain game to be remastered. And that game is Crash Twinsanity. Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time may be evolved, but it's an evolved version of the Naughty Dog formula, very linear, while Crash Twinsanity is a lot more open, which people saw as the natural progression of the franchise. While Twinsanity may have been rushed, very buggy, and very unpolished, its core gameplay and level design really stuck with people in a positive way. The controls were very tight and responsive, the camera was excellent for a 3D platformer, and the world in general was just very fun to get around. Crash Twinsanity could have been a very huge game in the franchise, but unfortunately due to production issues, delays, and of course lack of marketing, it was a financial failure. There's so much content cut from the game, yet people still find it to be one of their favorite Crash Bandicoot games of all time, and feel like if it got a chance to reach its maximum potential, it would have been massive. So, is the Naughty Dog formula the way to go, or does Crash deserve another chance at the open world future he was robbed of? Let's discuss. First, let's talk about why Crash has a linear level design style in the first place, when other characters like Mario were able to have more open world levels from the get-go when going into 3D. Your first assumption may be because of hardware limitations, but it was actually made to break past those hardware limits. With this hallway-like level design, Crash was able to load his levels in chunks rather than all at once, which would have taken much longer. Doing this also created the signature art style that Crash's landscapes are known for. In order to hide future chunks of the level that weren't quite finished loading, the area would be filled with lush, dense environments, leaves, trees, flowers, plants, rocks, all of which would help Crash to have a much more pleasing art direction. So it wasn't made like that just because of what the PlayStation 1 could do, but it was made like that to help give Crash Bandicoot his identity. Because of this level design, we're able to have very unique goals and objectives, breaking all the boxes, secret gem routes, death routes, etc. Series staples that were completely absent in open world games like Crash Twinsanity. That's not to say Twinsanity had no advantages though. While it may not have had secret paths or routes or box collecting goals, it was still able to incorporate the gems through these unique platforming or puzzle challenges. However, instead of taking advantage of the fact that it's open world for these side challenges, they were still linear, and just used the open world as long flat stretches of nothing to hide these linear challenges, making it kind of pointless. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them are still really fun, like guiding these chickens into nitro crates or doing this ball challenge. But most, if not all of them, don't even rely on the fact that this is an open world game, and they could have easily been implemented in a linear Crash game through bonus pads or warp pads. Now, I love Crash Twinsanity too, it's in my top 3 Crash games for sure, easy. But let me ask you, what are the best parts of the game? Now, of course, there likely are a fair amount of you out there who prefer the Crash and Cortex segments together most. But I'm mainly talking about when it's just Crash by himself. What are your favorite solo Crash parts of the game? Stuff that comes to mind may be the climb in Iceberg Lab, or the tutorial level, the acid chase in Classroom Chaos, or even the final level. What do all of those things have in common? They're actually very linear point A to point B platforming segments. Despite how bad people want Crash Twinsanity's open world gameplay to return, the best parts of the game are actually linear and closer to the Naughty Dog style. I doubt anyone's favorite part of Crash Twinsanity is just Twinsanity Island by itself, or the courtyard of the Academy of Evil. Now, that's not to say those areas weren't fun. It was still enjoyable to kick around the soccer ball or kick around the stacks of hay. And the open areas still are necessary as they act like a hub for the branching paths that lead to the linear segments. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the world is just fun to travel around, but I don't think this is the future that people want for Crash, even if they may think they do. They see this open world style for Crash as a natural progression or evolution because they view the older hallway-like level design of the Naughty Dog style as a result of technical limitations, when in fact that was just the natural style too. The Insane Trilogy may seem archaic in design, but that's literally because it's based off older games. Meanwhile, Crash 4 is doing an excellent job progressing and evolving this hallway-like level design. Now, I don't think Crash should ditch open world forever. It would be really cool to see him revisit it sometime in the future, but it's gotta be a lot different from Twinsanity. There needs to actually be stuff to do. It needs to be dense and lush like the original games. Or they could just use these big open world areas as warp rooms. Anyways, as far as level design and gameplay style goes, while Twinsanity is fantastic, I don't think it's the way Crash should go in the future. Crash already has a very distinct, unique, and iconic level design style that just happens to get mistaken for outdated tech limits. And he should continue to grow and develop that into something more open and fresh, rather than just jumping into something more open right away. Either way, what do you think? Where do you believe Crash's gameplay style should head in the future? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Leopold the Brave, out.